And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse for an Easter Sunday of thoroughbred action. Jim Miller and Emily Gullikson joining you on the Sunday afternoon. As Emily, temperatures actually not too bad, right around 50 degrees today. Looks like the rain might hold off through the extent of the card, which would be amazing because yesterday it looked like this was going to be kind of a sloppy day too. I think we're going to be okay.
I think so too. It said possible after 6, so I think we're supposed to go off the last race at 6:20, so It might just work out perfectly. And it shifted since yesterday. It looked like it was going to hit around 4, so they knew we were running and decided to wait just a little bit.
That's exactly what it was. We have a nice crowd today. There's a lot going on in the PointsBet Sportsbook. You have races going on from Gulfstream Park, Sunland, and then Golden Gate's going to start shortly after us. Couple of notes for everybody. The mandatory pick 6 payoff from Gulfstream is coming up in their next race, in race number 6. That post time is going to be right around when our first post normally would be. So we're going to go off about 5 or 6 minutes later for race number 1 just to avoid their mandatory payout on the pick 6. We'll catch up for that time throughout the course of the day. In the end, it's not going to affect a whole lot, but when you have a massive pool like that, you don't want to fall on top of them. So we're going to be good neighbors. We're going to work together with them today.
Yeah, and work together with the players, most importantly, you know, letting them pay attention to the pick 6, and then as soon as they're done with that, they can jump right over to our card and starts off that place pick 8.
Yeah, and it is. It's a good card today. There's just the one scratch on the card, but a solid card from top to bottom. And let's take a look through it as we kick things off in the opener, Emily. We go 3/4 of a mile in the first. 12-5 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. It's a field of 7 to start the day. On the board, Alexandra's Song is your 2-1 favorite. I laid Allotrope as the 8-5 favorite in here, and that's the route that I went. Joel Burnt, guy that I do expect to have a very good meet. Who were you pointing towards in today's opener?
You know, I think that the board kind of has it right, and same thing with the morning line. I went the same way with Allotrope and then Alexandra's Song. But at the same time, I think that there are some other opportunities in this race with a couple others that aren't that far off. So it'll be interesting when we cycle back around in about another half hour or so and see what the board is giving. Those two, I think, stand out on paper, but there are some possibilities in here. Miss Tina Marie scratched out of the finale last night. Fits up much better in this spot, so could have some intent in there. It's currently sitting at 5-1. The 7 as well, maybe some upside there, and even the 5 has some early speed. So I think there's a couple ways to go outside of those top 2 who are very solid.
Yeah, Joel Burnt enters 2 in the opener. Both of them are going to run there, so you'd have to figure that they're both a well-meant for sure. So we'll see how things unfold in the first, but 2-1 right now in Alexandra's Song. I do think Allotrope does get the job done, but we'll see how things roll out when we get about 25 minutes from now. Race number 2 today goes 1 mile and 70 yards, $5,000 claimers in this spot, now winners of 2 races lifetime from that field of 6. Eyes on Deck is the horse I laid as the 8-5 favorite. This one coming in from New Orleans for today's start. I'm kind of chalky early on in the card. Did you think Eyes on Deck was going to be the horse to beat in here?
I think Eyes on Deck is very solid. In my opinion here, I'm going to take a stand with Desert Highway. I just think it's going to be a better price. It's in the right spot, coming back in a week, getting the fitness under their belt. Most of the races have been around 2 turns, so has that here today, and I think this is the right intent, has the inside, some early speed, so I'm giving them a chance to pull off a slight upset, but Eyes on Deck is the biggest threat.
I thought that last race was actually a little surprising out of Desert Highway because I think we both kind of thought, okay, well, this is a prep to get 2 turns. And then all of a sudden, the horse comes running on late, only gets beat by a length by Robust, and Robust just came back yesterday, and I thought ran a really big race. So Desert Highway may be sitting on a good performance. I do have that one in the mix as well. Rounder's an intriguing horse for me. Jareth Loveberry back to Hawthorne. He rode a couple of winners yesterday. The one in the finale surprised a few people. Ron Utchman actually had that horse picked online for Tanner Tracy, ended up going off at 16-1. That was an interesting horse in the last because you could make a case for it.
It was that race,
It was a weird race for the finale too.
Yeah. We talked about it being one of the more competitive races on the card, and Jareth gave that one just a great trip, sat right off. The pace setter who talked about had that lack of finish and was like, if anybody's right there, they're going to be able to catch her. And Jareth was like, he'd read the form and was like, I'm going to put my horse right there, and if that horse backs up, I'm going to scoop it. So got that right trip. A couple horses had some subtle trips out of there that will come back and we'll get a look. One of them, your top pick, who I think will probably deserve the race. That was a more subtle trip.
Yeah, the Vance Childers runner.
Yeah, Angel Express. Yeah, she was like, it's a subtle trip because it's one of those like mid-pack, like in traffic, and I think just needed the race. So
that was a good, solid race in the finale. I mean, you saw a lot of pretty solid performances. Be My Bestie ran a good race there. Gerald Butler had a solid day. Right on Richie ran a great race around 2 turns yesterday too.
Yeah, even the 3, Heather Arian's horse, that horse had a complete excuse. So that could be a live race going forward.
It could be for sure, and I think we'll see a lot of those coming back here in just a few weeks. Race number 3 today goes 5/8 of a mile. These are $8,000 claimers in the third. This is where our only scratch comes on the day. That's the one, A Midnight's Girl. Another horse that's wheeling back rather quickly, looking for that second win on the meet, and I think well spotted here too is the 3 Lily's Woofy. This one runs for that increased Illinois bred claiming tag, so gets to run for the bonus as well. That was a pretty impressive effort. They did not have to ask this horse inside that last eighth of a mile.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising. They probably thought they were going to get claimed that day.
I would have
thought
so.
You know, and we're like, okay, we didn't get claimed. We've got a sharp horse right now. Let's run back in this spot. And she fits. I mean, that was kind of the right race. Wasn't overly extended, kind of like the horse we saw yesterday. Maybe even a little less as far as Lily's Woofy, because she was able to make that easy lead and just laid over the field. And she fits in here as well. If she had run an opening day for this level, she would probably be a standout. So I think she's a solid fit in here. Stack Shack is the one that I'm going to go to second. Probably would prefer a little bit more ground, but might just have some other advantages.
We're seeing things very similarly today. I'm with you on Stack Shack. Early on we do. I'm guessing later we don't. Stack Shack's one of those intriguing type of horses because it seems like turf, dirt, sprint route, doesn't really matter. The horse puts forth a pretty solid effort for you. And it's just a good game racehorse for that 7-year-old mare, but Stack Shack's been very good at Hawthorne, 10 of 16 on the board over the track as well. You're going to get a little bit better price too, because Lily's Woofy I think will go off as a pretty short price favorite there in today's third. Fourth race on the card, you get $5,000 claimers in the spot. You get a field of 7 to line up in here. I had a tough time with this race making a line because I thought it was pretty evenly matched. I ended up going to Helen May's Song as the favorite, but man, those last 2 races weren't great. But maybe it's an excuse that the horse just didn't like the poly track more than anything. We saw Jim Watkins get a win on yesterday's card. I think this horse should be tough once again, but I think there's numerous horses in here with a shot.
Yeah, as far as those most recent Turfway races, there's some subtle trips. She had traffic 2 back. Is an open 5,000, was wide on the duel. That's not the most ideal trip at Turfway from time to time. So you can be a little bit forgiving in there, and also forgiving of number 5, Go Storm and Girl, her most recent start at Turfway Park, and has been fresh and since. And going back to last season, Go Storm and Girl ran so many good races. She was probably the most unlucky horse of the 2023 season. Got disqualified on a day that she was much the best. So had to take that tough, and then just some other tough trips along the way. The day that she got disqualified, Chris Amy was aboard. He'll be back aboard today, so I think that this one is live and hopefully gets a little bit of racing luck. That's the direction.
And you're right, both you and I were in agreement that day that we thought that was the best horse, and probably one that shouldn't have come down there. But one of those things where you come back here looking to get back into form. I do like that Amy's back in the saddle as well. I like that Cook runs both of them here too. He's got Luna Love as well. This one coming in out of a tough starter race in that last out and actually held her own in there. So I think Luna Love could be a solid contender in the 4th as well. 5th race on the card. This starts the 50 cent, a late pick 4 wager. We go 5/8 of a mile in the 5th. $5,000 claimers from this field of 8. Emily looking up and down the field, ended up making the 6th Time Heist the 5-2 favorite in here. This was a horse that had avoided claim here early last year, and then you wondered, okay, do you stay away from it? Don't you stay away from it? But the horse just churned out good race after good race after good race with multiple victories. I have Time Heist in the mix. I did try to beat the horse, but I thought there were probably 3 or 4 that were very closely matched.
Yeah, this is another competitive race. I kind of lean on the 2 Ralph Martinez runners. I think both have some upside in different ways. Medal of Fact brings in the solid local record, races at the shortest sprint distance. A few of the races that have been good have been at a higher level. And then as far as number 2, Boise, he has some back class. He was a stakes winner early on, never really quite developed from that juvenile campaign, but now he's at the right level where he fits with this group. So I give both those horses a look, and I'm hoping he's sending at least one of them out live, if not 1, 2, like we saw Michelle Boyce send out yesterday.
Yeah, how about that? Those 2 horses ran very well yesterday. Medal of Fact I thought was a very good claim also for the 7,500. You do come back off the layoff here, but consistent work pattern. Horse likes this track as well. I went to Kingswood in here. Eduardo Gallardo aboard for trainer John Arnett. It seems like everything Arnett sent out to start the meet has run well. This is a horse that kind of races with mixed results. I mean, sometimes you get a horse that's like in every other race. This is kind of like in every 3rd race sometimes, or in every 4th race type of thing for Kingswood. But that last race just didn't really get the best of trips. Outside draw there, hung wide the entire way. It was a rough trip. Better draw, a little bit shorter field today. I think Kingswood runs a much better race here in today's 5th. 6th race, allowance runners. They go 5/8 of a mile on the spot. You get a field of 9 to line up. I went back and forth on this one on the line. I ended up making the 3-1 favorite, the 9, Twirling Roses in here, just based off the fact that this horse absolutely loves this Hawthorne strip. I can see him going favorite. I could see Rivs on a Roll from the inside going favorite for the connection. A couple of others that are worth a look, maybe even Eli's Promise. What way did you look here in today's 6th?
So, yeah, I mean, I think going on that same pattern, I think even Cash Fever could be, because he's got some of the stronger numbers. The way that I win here, is I'm taking a shot with number 8, My Crazy Neighbor. This is a race where there's just so many capable runners. It's kind of like the finale last night, where it's like there's so many good ones. Why do you want to land on sort of a short price? This is a horse that now is partially owned by Joel Burnt, part of that dispersal sale, so I think that's a positive. He's run well fresh. He broke his maiden first out, going 5.5 furlongs at Gulfstream Park for trainer Ian Wilkes. That's a combination you're rarely going to see. First out, Ian Wilkes winning at 5.5 furlongs. He was disqualified, the unofficial winner, coming off the layoff here back on July 17th. Last year, raced to the higher 25K claiming level. Again, he might not be the best in this race, but he might just land the best in today's race if he's well prepared. So I gave that one a look. Probably going to stick around that double digits because this race is so competitive. Yeah,
very competitive bunch, and I agree with you because of some of the other connections on other horses in the race. I do think you're going to get right around that 10-1 as well. Every chance to win in the spot. And this was a horse that ran a good race despite getting DQ'd here last July. I did go to Cash Fever in this spot. I think just very consistent in those races. It was a good maiden score at first asking. Thought the 3 starts after were pretty solid as well. Running style that's going to put the horse in the mix from the get-go, but you don't really need the lead to win in there. And I'm curious, Larry the Poet can show a little bit of speed in here. Riv's on a roll, we know has some speed. Eli's Promise has speed, maybe even Dust Dancer. I think they're going to be heated up front. And if that's the case, that's the one thing. It's the potential for a little bit of a fall apart race too.
Yeah, it's one of those, looking at the plot right now, it's one of those weird scenarios where it gives a snowflake convention, so it's not a lot of horses that want to be on or near the lead, but a decent speed rate. So it's like horses that can run fast.
Right.
So it could come down to how they decide to ride, who's going to be aggressive, some of the speed coming from the outside. But yeah, one of the competitive races.
And how the track's playing as well. Yesterday was a little bit of a drying out racetrack throughout the course of the day. Today's a dry track that we'll be adding water to, but played without bias all day long yesterday, expecting much of the same today. Second route race on the card is the 7th. It goes 1 mile and a 70 yards. Starter optional company here. It's a field of 11 to line up in this spot. Tom Van Bergen with another horse here. Horse that I think really does fit in this spot in the 4 Knights Cross. Jareth Ludbury gives the call aboard this one. Let's see if this horse is ready to head the 2 turns. I think based off paper, the horse should be.
Yeah, I think that horse looks pretty solid, well placed. Even the one yesterday, I think that one was well placed as well, and just kind of got roughed up in that opening furlong, and that was it. Yeah, I think that Knights Cross is probably the horse to beat in here. Again, if the number 6, I will give Global Empire a chance. He's worth getting creative with. He has competitive races at the level last year. He's been able to fire fresh. Giles has been aboard in the past. It was aboard for a pair of those 2023 wins. Just could be one of those horses that jumps up. Number 7, Rogue Element, is another one you can start to make a value case for. I feel like I'm looking at my picks going, I hope Brian Cook has a good day, because I landed on a few of them. But Christmas Present ran well on opening week.
Yes,
so
did for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there is a few in here. Super Wise could even come down a little bit for those connections coming in. So yeah, we'll see. I think this is another one that Knights Cross is probably the horse to beat. He's probably going to be favored in here. And then I didn't even mention the Vidic line, which, if I'm looking at the plot, he has a major pace advantage in here. He's going to have to clear some horses from the outside and be fit, but that's one that wouldn't surprise me. I just went kind of lean on Global Empire if he sticks around that 12-1.
And here's how tough that race is. You talked about 6 horses there. Didn't even get to the horse that I picked on top. I went to CFV Wicked Red.
That's another one.
Lilia Gonzalez, we saw, had a very good meet here last year with the horses that she ran. Well, her brother Augustine has a stable here, and more horses are on the way. This is going to be their first start of the meet, but this is a horse that was actually working at Horseshoe Indianapolis leading up to the spot and working well. Again, just kind of running style and fitness. I think the horse will be fit, but I'm not sure, because you're looking at a lengthy layoff. They raced in December of 22, February 1st of 23, and then a long time off. But now it's kind of a work, 3 weeks in between, then a work, 3 weeks in between. We'll have to see if he needs a start. But this barn has won off lengthy layoffs, or at least Lily Gonzalez has won off lengthy layoffs in the past, and I think you'll get a decent price too.
Yeah, if that horse is ready, he's tough. Like,
right, and looking at that,
he's definitely, that was my one reservation, was the layoff. But yeah, if he's ready to run, he's a serious threat.
I'm going to want to get a look at him in the paddock. Of course, we're going to want to see if he's got front wraps on or anything along those lines as well, and just kind of see how things unfold and what the betting is as well. Maybe that'll give us a little bit of a sign there in the 7th. In the finale, high five wagering in the last, we go 5/8 of a mile. Maidens in this spot, fillies and mares. Full field of 12. This is a really tough race. I mean, you have horse from Eduardo Caramori's barn coming in, Louis Roussel with their first starter, Kelly Ackerman's coming in, Ravelli here, Mike Maker has a horse in this spot, William Morey has a firster in here, Wayne Catalano as well with Eldora. Eldora, laid as a very lukewarm 4-1 choice. I thought there were 5 horses that could go favor. It's just a question of how they're going to bet some of the firsters and some of the shippers as well.
Yeah, I don't envy your job trying to make a line for this race because, yeah, as you mentioned, all those barns and some of them are new faces, and it's, you know, it's tough to see who's going to be kind of sending out live or looking and saying, yeah, we'll need a race, we'll give them a start, we want to stretch out, we want to go on the turf, et cetera, et cetera. And the horse I made a long shot case for number 5, Super Christie. You mentioned Kelly Ackerman, a horse that there are many things to knock, certainly, but this is the type of horse, an older runner. She's what, a 5-year-old mare now, has all those layoff lines. So the type that you probably aren't going to necessarily be guaranteed a prep, and seems like they're going to come in live for this race. And so I'm banking on that. Some of the numbers fits on their best day. Kind of hoping this one's ready as a long shot, but I think I wrote up four other horses in here. It's not one if I was alive to everything else and had a couple of those 10-to-1s that I feel a little bit stronger on, I'd want a little bit more depth in here because this race is so competitive. Where did you go?
I ended up going to Absolute Miracle on this spot.
That's about where I went second.
Yeah. And Kelly Ackerman, he's run limited starters here in the past, but he's always run with success here. So anything he sends, he's sending with a reason, sending to come and win. I like the workout pattern coming in the spot. I gave the horse consideration as well. Absolute Miracle I did go to. I liked that last start. I thought that was a much improved effort. It was over a sealed, muddy track in there. The horse was kind of urged along from the inside. I don't think the horse really liked the rail draw, but kind of had to be pushed into contention.
Too, so they had to kind of push out.
Yeah, it had to be pushed into contention a little bit. They went fast up front, 21-2 that day, 45 to the half. And the horse, I thought, hung around pretty well. Finished 4th out of that field of 8. It wasn't a bad effort by any means. We've seen Louis Roussel have a lot of success here in the past. This one comes in with a work in New Orleans just last week before shipping over here. But they ship over, they got settled here for a few days. They came in midweek on Wednesday. So the horse has been able to get out over the racetrack, stretch their legs too. I think Absolute Miracle could run a pretty good race there in the finale. And I think we get a decent price on either of those horses. You're going to get a little bit better price on yours. But
well, I wonder, because Absolute Miracle got bet down last time. So that was the one reservation. I was like, well, maybe this one will be short. But yeah, a lot of ways to go. And again, it's like you mentioned in race 7. It's one that you can look at the board, and the horse that you might think, oh, I picked this one 4th, all of a sudden that's your play.
Right.
Because you look at the board and you're saying, oh, the other ones are too short, or the front wraps are added and getting a little washed out on this, you know, kind of cool windy day, and make those adjustments. And that's part of the game.
Yeah, it is part of the game.
Making the right play and making the right bet.
Right, you always want to see how the track plays early on. You always want to see what the board tells you for signs as well. So we'll see how things unfold. But that's how we see the 8-race card here on Easter Sunday. Going to flip back and take a look at the first. Again, a reminder, if you're playing that pick 6 at Gulfstream Park, riders up right now. They're just going on the track right now. You see it's 4 minutes to post. They are going to take some additional time for that race because it's a massive pool and that mandatory payout. So we're going to go out a little bit later for race number 1 today. Horses will go out probably about 2 minutes to post, and we'll take a couple of minutes extra, so we don't want to race on top of that big pick 6 at Gulfstream Park. So let's take a look at the horses in the paddock for the opener. We go 3/4 of a mile in the first. $12,500 claimers, fillies and mares, non-winners of 2 races. A lifetime 50-cent pick 5 wager in, $1 place pick 8 wager in the opener. And Emily, looking at the board right now, 2-to-1 favorite here is the 4. That's Alexandra's Song. Chris Amy aboard for trainer Brittany Vandenberg. Let's start with this one here. Horse claimed for $16,000 out of that start 2-back. A start in that last out drops in for $12,500 today. The barn's looking for the first win of the meet. Some horses that have been running close, and maybe this is the horse that gets them over the hump for the first win.
Yeah, and you know, I wonder in terms of trip, because there are some others in here that want to be on or near the lead, and she's been able to show early speed, but I would almost argue that her better race is when she can kind of sit off and make a run. And if they get that trip in here, and there are some others that go out there, we'll talk about the 2 allotrope next, probably one of those. That could be the right move. She's had the layoff lines. I think they're looking for a win. As you said, they've been running some in the money, sending out live runners, placing horses where they compete. This one certainly makes sense. Spotted to win. I think it's just going to come down to trip, and in the right hands to do so. Yeah,
definitely. Chris Amy off to a very good start in the saddle, and we'll see if this one does get the right trip. But getting that backing, took action early, remains with that action, currently sitting co-favorite at 2-to-1. Now, you just saw the 2-horse pass right there. That is Allotrope. Allotrope also at 2-to-1. This one from the burn of trainer Joel Byrne, as he also has the 7 Run Bambi run in here. Allotrope is the horse I went to on top. I liked that last race at Delta Downs. I thought it was a very game effort there. Horse has made a couple of starts here at Hawthorne in the past. Burnt's off to a good start on the meet as well. I do think this horse pushes things along early on. The question is whether or not the horse can clear and make the top on its own.
That is the question, because I think as an individual, is the horse to beat, and should even be the speed of here in this race. It'll just be a matter of, is it enough to be able to hold late if those other ones decide to press? Yeah, and one of the other speed in here is the stablemate Run Bambi Run. You wouldn't think those two would try to, duke it out early on, but then there are some others to keep her honest. So Allotrope has a big look in here. She looks good. We're looking at her right now. And having that early speed can be effective from the inside. We've seen a lot of winners win with that type of trip.
Yeah, definitely a good looking racehorse here. I do have her in the mix. I put her on top, and I would happily take 2-1 there. The other burnt runner that you mentioned is the 7. That is Run Bambi Run. Carlos Ulloa aboard this runner today, and a Run Bambi Run. A little bit of a tough debut race where this one clipped heels and fell in its debut. Sometimes you tend to wonder how horses are going to recover from that. This one recovered just fine, was able to win that next start out, although you look, it was a long time after that race. So that's the thing. You may have had some sort of injury coming out of that spot, but it was good to see this horse come back and run a good race after that.
Yeah. I was just kind of concerned in terms of trip, because I don't think they're going to want to hook up with the stablemate. Is coming off that 80-day break, might need a race with some of those other races in State-Bred company. But with that said, she was able to win fresh, as you mentioned. It's almost like a first start, excusing the debut. Has to improve a little bit, but is a lightly raced type. Making that just that second start as a 4-year-old, has every license to improve. Yeah,
definitely so. Sitting right now at 6-1, so taking a little bit of action there. Now, horse I scratched out of yesterday's card to run in the spot today, and this was a good move, is a 3. That's Miss Tina Marie. Miss Tina Marie currently sitting at 5-1. This one getting Lasix for the first start out. Another one coming in off a little bit of a layoff into the spot, but has posted some decent efforts, and I could see Miss Tina Marie running rather well here.
Yeah, and the layoff actually could be to her benefit as well, because she is showing up as a 3-year-old for the first time. So if you project any improvement off those juvenile figures, which can pretty much be gathered for anyone, with age and maturity, they can take a step forward, and her numbers from a juvenile season already fit with today's group. The connections, as you mentioned, scratched from yesterday. This is a much better spot. I didn't have her anywhere in the selections yesterday in that spot, and in here, I think much better fit. Drops to straight claiming level for the first time. In the right move. She was doing her best last year, not quite on the level of competition, so I think the placement is key. She has a look in here to me at 6-1.
Yeah, 6-1, not a bad price there on Miss Tina Marie. The other one at 6-1 that's taking a little bit of action is the 5. That's Sapphire Knights. Joel Novice aboard this runner today for trainer Eduardo Rodriguez. Couple of races against restricted company there in that last out against conditioned company at Fairgrounds. But I could see Sapphire Knights coming back here. A little bit of a layoff, but not much. But Eduardo Rodriguez had a pretty good meet in New Orleans, and some horses should be able to come here fit and ready to roll.
Yeah, this is one that also has that early speed, and that's where she's been most effective, and she didn't have that trip at the Fairgrounds. So Novice must be more assertive today, putting her in the race. Today's event is a lower par than those 2 starts, including the February 12th race. That was against 3-year-olds only. In terms of numbers, I think just as far as the trip, I'd prefer Miss Tina Marie as 6-1 if we're looking at those 2. But another one before they go out, just to give a mention to, I think you have this one underneath as well, Sequoia.
Yep, the one horse.
Yeah, I don't know if she's probably not good enough to win, but can come running on late for a share.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at the one Sequoia there real quick down at that end of the paddock. Sequoia from the barn of trainer Brian Cook. She hates winning, and she just does, but she's 1 for 43 lifetime in the win column. But here's the thing. 18 times second or third for her, and that's the thing about Sequoia. Oftentimes just rates back early on and then comes running at him late. It's just a little bit too late. She's a great horse to use underneath in the gimmicks here, and especially at this type of price, because she's run at so many different levels and some really tough levels and run good races still. It's just kind of the type of race she runs.
Yeah, exactly. And Blanche is back aboard, was aboard for a place finish last season. So yeah, one to keep underneath, especially, sticking at that 15-1.
Yeah, we'll see how things unfold for that. We're going to get riders up shortly here for today's opener. Again, a reminder, there are 1 minute to post over there at Gulfstream Park for that mandatory payout on the Rainbow Pick 6. That's the reason we're going to go out just a little bit later for today's opener. Then after that, we'll get back on track with our timing the remainder of the day. But good luck to all of you with your selections here as they get ready to head out for the first. Good luck.
Coming on the track for the Sunday opener, they'll go 6 furlongs on a fast track. Field of 7. Number 3, Miss Tina Marie, carries 4 pounds over, and 4, Alexandra Song, carries 1 pound over the program weight. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta. This race starts the rolling daily doubles, rolling pick 3s, the 50-cent pick 5, and the $1 pick 8. Track is fast, 2 minutes till post for race 1 at Hawthorne. Parading here they are. Number 1 is Sequoia, ridden today by the birthday boy, Rashawn Blanche. We'll say happy birthday to Rashawn Blanche, celebrating a birthday today. Wish him good luck. 2 is Allotrope, Israel Hernandez riding. 3, Miss Tina Marie, Victor Balan in the saddle. Number 4, Alexandra Song, will be handled by Chris Amy today. 5 is Sapphire Knights, Yoel Navas. 6, Gabriella Attack, Victor Santiago riding. And 7, Run Bambi Run, Carlos Yaloa will bring her to the gate, and they'll all be there in just a couple of minutes. Kick off the Sunday program. This race starts the rolling doubles, rolling pick 3s, the 50-cent pick 5, and the $1 pick 8, place pick 8. Racing fans, we do thank you for joining us wherever it may be across the betting network. Right now, sun's coming through. Sunny skies, weather temperature in the 40s. Missed it early. We have a tailwind in the home stretch of about 20 miles per hour. Right now, that's pretty consistent. 8 races on the program. We do have 2 carryover pools today. Third race, pick 6 carryover. $1,908. And the 8th race has a high 5 carryover, $1,078. We are close to starting time. This is the final call for your first race selections. Close to starting time for race 1 at Hawthorne Track Fast. Now they're moving towards the gate for today's first at Hawthorne, just about a minute. Racing fans are at the starting gate for today's first race here at Hawthorne, first of 8 on the Sunday program. Horses are entering the starting gate. The last two to go in will be Alexandra's Song and Run, Bambi Run. Still waiting on Alexandra's Song. Still waiting on Alexandra's Song and Run, Bambi Run. Run, Bambi Run will be the last to load. She goes in professionally. They're all in the gate. They're off. Stumbling a bit was Run, Bambi Run. Allotrope out for the lead in between horses Alexandra's Song and Sapphire Knights. Far outside, Run, Bambi Run is fourth. Inside, Sequoia fifth. Miss Tina Marie came away sixth, and it's about a 5-length gap to the trailer, and that's Gabriella Attack. They have a half mile to go in the Sunday opener. Allotrope leads on the outside. Alexandra's Song tracking second. In third position, Sapphire Knights. Far outside, Run, Bambi Run. Towards the inside, Miss Tina Marie beginning to look for racing room. And then it's a 4-length gap to Sequoia. Gabrielle Tech starts to move from the back of the pack. They come to the top of the stretch. Allotrope, Alexandra's Song right alongside. Around the turn, they're in the stretch. Allotrope still has her head in front. Alexandra's Song trying to get by second. Miss Tina Marie finds an opening down along the rail, and on the far outside, Run, Bambi Run. A little more than a furlong to go. Allotrope draws clear by 3. Miss Tina Marie now picks up to chase second. Run, Bambi Run third. Alexandra's Song back to fourth. They're coming to the wire. Allotrope has the lead. Allotrope won it. Miss Tina Marie second. Run, Bambi Run third. Alexandra's Song was fourth. In today's first race, number 2, Allotrope finished first. 3, Miss Tina Marie was second. 7, Run, Bambi Run third. 4, Alexandra's Song fourth. 2, 3, 7, 4 is posted. It's unofficial. 112.31 the running time for the 6 furlongs. Returning the unofficial winner to Allotrope. Allotrope is owned by Charlene Gabler. Jill Burnt Trains, Israel Hernandez, the winning rider. Still unofficial. Today's first race is official. Running time 1:12.31. It's official. We'll have prices in a moment. The $1 exacta 2-3, $10.70, 50-cent trifecta 2-3-7, $16.60. 20-cent superfecta 2-3-7-4, $15.52. We had a couple claims.